welcome to Hunter Fuel, a supernatural rewatch podcast for adults who enjoy their show with a chaser. I'm Liz.
And I'm Lynn.
Thanks so much for joining us for season 1, episode 16, Shadow. We model responsible drunkenness here. All participants are way over 21. No one is pregnant. No one will be driving, handling weapons, operating heavy machinery, or walking around shirtless in front of our windows. If you're playing along with us, those are the rules. If you decide not to follow them and you do something stupid, don't blame us. Lynn, what are you drinking this evening?
I am drinking a good old margarita.
You have a margarita. Good for you. I shaken it up a little. Ha ha ha. I
Yeah.
have
Well, I ended up slight story regarding this. So I am in desperate need of a cocktail shaker. I have decided since
oh,
yes. So I'm fairly certain my cocktail shaker is from when you, BJ, and I went into the city and I bought a drink that came in a pink and purple shaker. And the shaker was like came with the whole thing. I don't know if
right.
you remember this or not.
No, I have a feeling there was there was maybe a tiny bit of alcohol involved in that trip. It's not ringing a bell. But if your cocktail shaker is pink and purple, guess what you're getting for your birthday this year, love?
So yeah,
Time for a grown-up cocktail shaker.
so I was shaking it because I was trying to be cautious because I was like I don't have a lot of faith in this thing. So I was
Right,
like,
in the
oh,
pink and purple plastic
so
cocktail shaker, you weren't confident?
I went to go and do the whoosh, and went to go get the lid off, like take the screw part off, and the whole lid came off, and it went right down the
Boosh.
front of my shirt. I'm like, okay, apparently I'm not wearing that shirt on tonight's recording. So yeah.
So you're wearing more of your cocktail than you have on you.
So
Well,
yes, my cocktail shaker is pink, purple, and plastic.
oh no, not anymore. It's not. All right. Well, the featured cocktail for this week, which I managed to keep entirely in the glass, is a Shadow Woman. It is 1.5 ounces of bourbon, 1/2 ounce of pear brandy, a 1/4 ounce of honey syrup, which is just equal parts honey and hot water. I used maple syrup. 2 dashes of Angostura bitters. Build that in a glass and serve it over ice. Wizard Dave, can you bring up our game cards for us, please? Let's see what the Stupornatural cards have in store for us today. So Lynn, let me ask you a question. As you look at yours, do you have an electronics flicker?
I feel like I. I'm trying to remember if I do or not because I did look at this card before we started.
Hmm. Clearly didn't
I
stick.
yeah, no, I don't.
Okay. So, because you have an electronics flicker and a summoning. You have two free squares coming your way.
Yep.
But okay. So no, we're gonna keep those in reserve for another time. But as always, the first one is on the
On the
house.
house.
So cheers.
Cheers. Oh, that tastes yummy. Yum 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 yum.
That one tastes like burning.
Oh
It's definitely not the worst one, and it's funny because I looked at the recipe and I'm like, "Oh, that's very similar to last week's, but not similar enough."
no!
All right, well, unlike the asylum, it's not undrinkable.
Well, somehow you
Uh,
even you choked that one down.
oh, that was not a good day. All right. Well, if you're playing, excuse me, if you're playing along with us, uh, there is a link to generate a card of your very own in the link tree. Um, so, with that, let's get this show on the road. So, the previously on segment
And guess
is
what? I'm already disconnected.
so we have a previously on segment that is by and large clips from Scarecrow. So we have the fight that the boys have over Sam wanting to go look for John and Dean wanting to, follow the orders. We have Sam meeting Meg on the roadside, her telling him, he could be some kind of freak. We have her making the the blood call after slitting this guy's throat. And then we start up in the cold open. We are in Chicago, Illinois. And I think
One
it's
of
really
my
fun.
favorite cities in the world. Oh,
I
I
know,
love.
I know. You have family from Chicago. I have family from Chicago, big fan. It's a great city. I do think it's interesting that in an episode called Shadow, the very first thing that we see is this woman's shadow. So the very first image we have in an episode
Yeah.
called Shadow is of a shadow.
Yeah.
This episode is directed by Kim Manners, so we can expect very good things visually. And we see it almost right away that it's filmed in this almost this very film noir style with pools of light and really heavy emphasis on the contrast with the shadows, and it gives it a really great look. Um, excuse me, the song that she is listening to, this character's name is Meredith. The song she's listening to on her headphones, for anybody under 35, that is an iPod
Yeah.
that she is listening to her tunes on.
Yeah.
She's
Which
listening
died.
to It
Which
Died,
died.
yes. Before songs fit on your phone, that's what you carried them around in. But the song she was listening to is called "You Got Your Hooks in Me" by Little Charlie and the Nightcaps. Nightcats, excuse me. I might be having a nightcap, but the band is by the Nightcats. This actor, Melanie Papalia, who plays Meredith, she was previously in a show that I'm a big fan of called Travelers. So I was kind of excited to see her. So she's getting chased. Here we are. She's made it into her apartment. She's setting her alarm. We've got this really close look at her setting the deadbolt. She's put the chain on. Like she is securely in her apartment by herself. And right away, we can see all these really cool shadows. She's got some kind of like decorative, it's not a beaded screen, but it's like a dangly thing in the doorway that's casting these really cool like square shadows. She's getting herself a drink. You can see her shadow moving against the wall. She goes over to again, this is called an answering machine. And before you could get voicemails, you had to have a cassette recorder that your phone was attached to. And she's listening to her voicemails as this creepy shadow is starting to track along the wall. And the message on her answering machine is, I know that guy ripped your heart out last time, just as she gets her heart ripped out by whatever
Yeah.
this shadow is. So that is a gratuitous
It
blood
is blood
spatter. I
splatter.
paused it. Let's
All
take a
right.
look at our game cards and see if Stupornatural has a blood spatter for us. And
I
I
feel
do. I have one.
yes, so do I.
Now, this is an extremely boozy episode, so I'm making my pour quite small.
Yeah. All right.
Mm,
Cheers.
cheers. growing on me.
Hmm.
This one's growing on me. All right, hitting play. We've got our supernatural title card. And 1 week later, here the boys roll up in front of the apartment in the Impala, and they're wearing alarm company uniforms. So this is a new pretext for them that they're posing as employees from the alarm company. And Dean is not thrilled about this.
That's the understatement of a
Yeah.
lifetime. And I gotta say, a lot of their uniforms do something for them. This ain't one of them.
Now, again, like I've literally seen Jensen in a blue plastic like poncho and he still looks hot. But compared to the way you or I would look in one of these jumpsuits, they're doing just fine. It's not as good of a look as we've seen on them previously.
No,
Um, but there is kind of this fun conversation they have about apparently Sam was a drama dork in school and Dean went to his show and he's like, "You were cute." So I think that's kind of fun. We get a little peek at them when they were kids. Um, this actor here who plays the landlady, her name is Lorena Gale, and she has a long career. She's been in a lot of stuff. Very talented actor. Of course, one of my favorite shows, Battlestar Galactica, she was in.
yep,
And she brings them in. We've got this good close-up look at the cut chain, which she
yep.
mentions. She's like, "Your alarm is about as useful as boobs on a man." Which
Which
like
I which
bang.
I have to chuckle at this because I mean, now granted, I'm fully aware that I mean, if something was chasing me, I'd set an alarm also,
Right.
but it's shadows. Does anyone really think an alarm is going to keep a shadow out?
Yeah, but she doesn't know that. I mean,
Oh,
again, the premise of the show is Sam and Dean are monster hunters in a world where nobody knows there are
about
monsters.
yeah.
So, you're going to assume a human being is stalking you and those alarms keep out.
Sure.
What I think is
Yeah.
interesting about this is she says boobs on a man because standards and practices aren't going to let her say tits on a boar. Now, I'm going to pause this because we have an EMF
Yeah,
detector here.
absolutely.
Um, but
And I
there's one other place a little later in the episode where they have to make a substitution for standards and practices that we'll talk about when we get there. I also have an EMF detector.
I think I
I'm
do
gonna
as
make this
well.
one. I'm also making this one wee, just a wee skosh.
Uh, is it bad that well? Just because of the way my notebook is, my arms, I'm having to test out my arm length, which
Go,
anyone
go, gadget
anyone
arms.
yeah. So for those who don't know me, I'm 6 feet tall. So I have very long arms. So where my cocktail is actually testing my arm length. So
Which means it's in the other room.
cheers.
All right. So,
All
with
right.
that, we are back to hitting play. The
Yeah.
boys are looking around Meredith's apartment, and Dean is talking about his encounter with a perky officer of the law who's a Sagittarius and has just a cute little tattoo. And Sam is like, "Dude, we're working. Focus." But what Dean was able to find out through his, I'm sure, very thorough research
Of
with
course.
his new friend in law enforcement, is that their hearts were missing. And he speculates maybe it was a werewolf, which is the first mention we have in the show of werewolves. But then Sam says, no, the lunar cycle's not right. Dean is eyeing this carpet, and there's a bunch of blood spatters on it. He asks for masking tape. And I gotta say, like, honestly,
I'm
the
pretty
only
impressed.
way, go ahead.
I'm pretty impressed that with that splatter, he came up with this. I
The
would,
only
because
way he gets this pattern is if the killer wrote numbers next to the splashes. Because,
yeah,
like, there's
because
no.
no, just no, because that did not look like that. It's like, how
It,
did he get that from that? Like,
it was in the script.
yes,
Um,
exactly.
okay. So
Now we,
Dean is hitting on this woman. We're gonna let this play out just for a moment because we've got so now Dean drinks, so we've got two.
there's two.
Uh we're gonna give it another. He also says awesome, and we're gonna give it just like 30 more seconds. He's checking out this chick too as he's walking back to Sam. He says, I was talking to the bartender. Sam's like, "Did you get anything from her other than her phone number?" He's like, "Dude, I'm a professional." Yeah, I did. I got her phone number. And here's where Sam says, "Can you think what the upstairs room?" And I'm gonna assume I'm hitting pause. I'm gonna assume standards and practices said you can't say anything about the big head because that's the idiom, right? Like,
Yeah,
think
yeah,
with the big head.
yeah,
Okay, so we have a bevy of four things to
yeah,
look at on our Stupornatural game cards. We have Dean hits on a woman, awesome.
yep.
Dean eats or drinks, and dude. So let's
So I
we
have
got some reading to do
awesome.
here.
I have. Let's
I
see
have a
here.
dude. I have a
I
Dean checks out or hits on a woman.
hold on.
I Folks, entertain yourselves. This is going to take a moment. Uh, I
oh
think those are the
shit.
two I have.
I think I only have. I have the awesome one.
Okay, I don't have awesome.
Um,
I have a dude and a Dean checks out or hits on a woman. I don't have Dean eats or drinks or an
do
awesome.
I have that
Triple
one?
checking. No. Okay.
Yeah,
So,
no.
whew, we
I
are
may
we are 10 minutes into this episode and I am already in trouble.
I say I have four.
Yeah, yeah, I have three in a row already.
Oh shit! All right,
I'm getting
I
better.
have two
Well,
in a row. I have two in a row in two spots.
mm, mm, uh-oh,
Oh,
I missed. I've sprung a leak.
you said that right as I drank. Holy shit!
Oh, my high watermark is that episode where you spit in your own eye. So, like, that's the bar for me now.
I nearly just spat all over my computer. Oh wow, that was close. That's not
So
what I
we
was
have,
expecting to come out of your mouth. Not even close. Like I had a couple of possibilities. That wasn't one of them.
got to keep
Holy
my sister on her toes. Okay, hitting play. Uh,
God help
so,
us.
so Dean has been
Oh crap.
thoroughly
Hold on. I got kicked out. God damn it.
So, Dean has been thoroughly talking to the staff at the bar, and he's saying, "No, this woman, like Meredith, was normal. There's nothing going on." Sam says, "I guess we're just going to have to dig a little deeper here. They're trying to think if there's some connection between the victims. They can't think of
And
any."
God. And of course we have Patrick Stewart.
That's no, that's not Patrick Stewart.
Isn't it? I could have sworn that was Patrick Stewart in that picture.
Um, well, I don't think so. I'm backing it up here.
I'm 99% certain that's Patrick Stewart in that
I'm
picture.
backing it up. Okay, we're gonna wait for the photo to show up and then I'm gonna pause it.
Either that or he's
Oh,
got a
my books.
twin.
Well, let's see here. First victim before Meredith. Sam is, he says his name is Ben Swartzen. No.
That that's not Patrick Stewart. That looks a hell of a lot like him.
Do you really think that Supernatural can afford Sir Patrick Stewart?
I seriously think that looks a hell of a lot like him if it's not Patrick Stewart.
Well,
That
if
looks
you can
amazing.
find a source verifying that that is in fact Patrick Stewart, I will happily admit that I am mistaken. But other than the fact that it's an older bald man with a, shall we say, distinctive nose.
I seriously thought that's who that was. That
Yeah.
was the first thing that went. I was like, "Holy crap, Captain Kirk!"
Yeah, I see why you would think that. And like I said, if you can find a source that's who that is, I will admit my error. Um, but I don't think that they would have been able to afford his likeness. Um, all right, so let us know in the comments what you think.
Yes, definitely. As to whether I've lost my mind or not.
Yeah, or maybe I've lost my mind. Okay, so we're moving on here. Again, they can't find any kind of connection between the victims so far. There's just no part of their worlds that overlap. So Dean says, okay, we've got nothing then other than the bartender's phone number. At what point Sam hops up. He's walking over to the bar. Dean's like, hey, what's going on? And from the back, Sam spots Peg from Scarecrow. And he's like, hey, how did you get here? She's all surprised, like, oh my goodness, Sam, how did you get here? How are you doing? Why are you in Chicago? He lies. He says they're visiting friends. She's looking around. She's like, you appear to be by yourself. Oh, they're just not here yet. Here comes Dean, and she's studiously ignoring him, and he's getting more and more agitated. I'm going to pause this here. I'm pausing it because we have a meta moment here. She
Yeah.
says she met something Michael Murray. She's referring to Chad Michael Murray, who appeared alongside Jared on the Gilmore Girls and
Okay.
in the film House of Wax.
Okay. I
He
was
was,
wondering because I actually had that name written down with like question marks of like I know that name is supposed to mean something, and
it does.
I couldn't put my finger on it. So thank you
Yeah,
for answering that.
he was one of the WB stable of actors that they would try to keep working. He also appeared in Dawson's Creek, which Jensen
Yeah.
was also in, but they weren't in the same season. So they
Okay.
were both in the same show, but not at the same time. But let's check our cards and see if either one of us has a meta moment.
I do.
I do as well, which gives me 4 in a row,
Oh my god, it gives me three in a row.
which I can tell already I'm not gonna get 5 by that avenue, but we're 10 minutes into the episode, so we're gonna have to see what happens from here.
Yeah, I'm gonna get three in a row one other way as well. Actually, I'm gonna get. It'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, let's keep watching and keep
Yep.
drinking and see what happens. Okay, so hitting play, there's still Sam and Meg are chatting away, and Dean's behind Sam, like off behind his shoulder, like, dude,
My
dude, and he just keeps staring at Sam, like, are you at any point gonna introduce me to the hot chick? And he finally's like, she's like, dude, cover your mouth. Sam finally introduces, this is my brother Dean, and she's like, Oh, Dean. And he thinks at first, like, oh, she's heard good things. And no, she's not heard good things. And she starts saying, why do you drag your brother all over the place like a piece of luggage? You should let him do what he wants. Like, she just starts tearing a strip off of him. Dean is like, okay, I'm going to be somewhere other than here. He does this look back over his shoulder, like, what the fuck, man? Chicks
Yeah.
hit me, but why does this one not? So he walks away. Sam and Meg continue their conversation. And just like the last time we saw her, there's a lot of double entendres to her dialogue, where she's saying, if Dean were her brother, I'd kill him. I'll show you a hell of a time. So, she's making a lot of these kind of leading comments again.
Mhm.
Sam gets her number. He leaves. The two brothers walk out of the bar, and Dean is clearly a little salty. He's like,
Yeah.
she wasn't even that into me. Like, it's inconceivable that there's any woman on earth who could prefer Sam over Dean. And they
Well,
start kind of revisiting this fight that they
like,
had in Scarecrow.
yeah.
Sam is like,
I love this. I love this dialogue here. I
yeah,
absolutely love it. Seriously, is that how you view me? Like
yeah,
I love that line. It's like, listen, it's when we were in an argument. I was
right.
venting. I oh
Yeah, this episode is written by Eric Kripke, and he's the guy is a hell of a storyteller. Like
mhm.
like almost every line is weighty.
Yeah,
That there's go ahead.
no, that's actually one of the things about this episode I love the best is that exactly that just every like practic there's no filler. Like
There's no filler.
every little thing means something. Every
Yeah.
line has weight to it. Just oh, I love it.
Yeah, they're not wasting any space here. And that's I
Nope.
think well, one of Eric Kripke's many gifts as a writer, as a storyteller, is that he can it, he does not waste anything. If you give him 42 minutes, he will use every second of 42 minutes to tell his story. He's a just a gifted guy. Um, so I am gonna. So I have a question here.
Okay, I have an answer.
Good. So Sam is behind the wheel. We have
Mhm.
not seen him drive.
Well, we
Clearly,
know
he
it.
must have driven to arrive here, but we
Yes.
haven't seen it on screen. Are we counting this as a Sam drives?
Well, yeah, that and don't you see him drive away? I'm almost positive we see him drive away.
Well, let's watch for a minute. I don't remember that being the case, but let's watch for a minute and see if it does. And if not, we can come back to let's put this in the parking lot. And we'll come back. So Sam is outside of Meg's apartment. Dean is doing research. So they traded jobs here.
Yeah, absolutely. I was gonna
So
say Sam gets to watch the hot chick, and Dean gets to sit by the computer for a change.
Yeah, Dean is doing research and Sam is sort of surprised at how good a job Dean is doing at research. And finally Dean admits, "Oh, I talked to Dad's friend Caleb." And so there's this funny exchange here where Sam says, "Bite me," and Dean says, "No, bite her."
I love it. I
Don't and he
love.
starts like giving his baby brother advice about how to like bite women.
It's like there's
Sam
just
was like, "I don't need your help. Thank you. I got this." And he hangs up. So here he's looking up and he can see Meg in the window in her bra. And a pedestrian walks by, see him, and she's like, pervert. She keeps walking. And he's like, no, no. I gotta say here, this bra does not fit her properly. Ladies,
I I I
or
I did I did not analyze it quite that quickly. Oh,
it
actually, you know what?
bothers me. Go ahead, Lynn.
Not no, as I say, he actually, you're right. He gets out and starts walking.
He does. He gets out and starts walking. So let me make my bra comment. So ladies, most women are in a bra that the cup size is too small and the band size is too big. If the band is kind of lifting up between your shoulder blades, the band is too big. You need a smaller band. Much more comfortable in a properly fitting bra. Anybody out there not wearing a bra, you can just pretend that that conversation didn't happen. But if you are a person who wears a bra, your bra will be much more comfortable if it fits you properly. Smaller band, bigger cup size. So that brings us back to our question. So since we don't physically see the car move with him behind the wheel, are we calling this a Sam drives, or do we need to see the car move?
Well, we have been known to stretch it before. Why don't we
And
see if one of us needs that for the five in a row? Because I mean,
okay,
we know clearly he had to drive it there. He's in the driver's seat.
he must have driven. Okay, so we're gonna wait and see if we need to cheat.
Yeah.
How we're doing. Technically, so I would tend to be a stickler here and say no. Like I want to see the car creep forward with him behind the wheel for me to call it a driving. And particularly in an episode where uh
We're
we're
drinking nonstop.
this is a boozy episode. We don't need to cheat so much. Uh yeah, I'm inclined to say no, but if you're at home by yourself and you're not planning on going anywhere and you can safely indulge and you decide you're gonna call it a Sam Drives, you have that option. So we're in this warehouse here. Sam has climbed up, he's followed Meg, and he has
Yeah.
climbed up an elevator shaft. This set, according to the official companion volume for this season, this was a set from the TV series True Calling, which starred Eliza Dushku. As a side note, Sam has climbed up this elevator shaft. He's watching Meg make another call on her blood phone. Um, but as a side note, I was having a conversation with a friend about Supernatural. I said, just as a thought exercise, if Sam and Dean were two women instead of two men, what actors would you want cast in these roles? And for Dean, he immediately said Eliza Dushku. And the second he said it, I went, yes, yes, she is perfect, absolutely perfect for a female Dean. I completely agree with you. So I thought that was kind of fun. That this set, Eliza Dushku was on this very set that they are walking around right now.
Very
Uh,
cool. Now,
Chief, go ahead.
I was gonna say, now that was a summonsing. At least I would call it that.
Um, that is a good. Mm, does anything arrive?
Well, she's talking into it.
She
I mean,
is.
I know we have more. We have a better example. I
We do. To me, a summoning means you perform a ritual and something arrives. We didn't call it a summoning when she made the call in Scarecrow. Not to say we can't change our minds. But yes, I say it's sort of a moot point because we will get one later. Um, so she leaves. Sam climbs the rest of the way up the elevator shaft. He looks at the altar and he goes, "Okay, uh, so what
and
the
we
hell is going on?" So we have the boys talk at the same
at the same
time.
time. Yep.
We have a quirky motel room. Um, and I'm gonna let this play out just a tiny bit because hot on the heels, we will have a Sammy just in a few seconds here. Um and so this is they've both gotten news while they were separated. So Dean has realized that everybody um who has died so far is from Lawrence, Kansas, which is of course their hometown.
Yeah.
And then Sam is saying like, okay, this Meg is the one who's calling the Devas. She's got the altar. So they've identified that these are kind of shadow demons called Devas. They're from Zoroastrianism. They misidentify how old
Mhm.
Zoroastrianism is, but moving on. Uh, excuse me.
And
And go ahead.
one thing again, and I know I've commented on this before, but I love about this scene is you get a lot of the unspoken facial expressions with the brothers. Like they have entire conversations within these conversations just with their eyes.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
which
they say a lot saying nothing at all. And there's a
yeah,
scene coming up a little later in this episode that I think is really interesting. So we're going to talk about that when we get there about kind of why the boys are the way that they are. So Dean calls, he leaves John a voicemail, and he says, "We think we have a lead on the yellow-eyed demon. Like we think we have a lead on the thing that kills mom. It killed mom." And so they start to gear up and Sam essentially empties the trunk of the Impala into the duffel bag. He brings everything. So the two of them are starting to, gear up to go after this demon. And they're having what I would call a heartfelt bromance, where they're like,
I absolutely agree with you on that.
this could be over tonight. If we do this right, we could end this tonight. And they have this kind of great conversation where like, are you scared? No, no, I'm not scared. I'm tough. I'm not scared. Are you scared? No. No, of course. So neither one of them are scared at all about facing a demon that killed their mom. And they have this conversation about like, what are you gonna do? Like, if this is over tonight, what are you gonna do? And Sam is like, I'm gonna go back to my life. Like, I'm gonna go back to school. This is it. This is not my life. I'm gonna abandon this. And Dean, of course, is like, what do you mean you're gonna leave me? Um, so we see Dean as they're talking strap this knife holster onto his forearm, and he's saying, like, "I don't want you to leave." He's clearly agitated, and Sam is like, "What is your problem?" And Dean kind of like leans into this dresser, and the way Jensen does this is great, where it just he's you can see him really kind of trying to hold this together, and he's like, "I don't want you to leave me the second you have. I want us to be a family." And I think that Jensen just does a great job with this scene. And we're going to check our bingo cards in just a moment, I swear. Um,
No.
but Dean, let me try that again. Jensen had said he was really kind of uncomfortable when he read the script for this because he felt like this was far too emotionally vulnerable for Dean, that Dean would not say these things out loud. So he had a conversation with Kim Manners, and the two of them kind of talked through it about like, okay, here's why this is important for storytelling reasons. And Jensen has talked about this at conventions, that the two of them kind of arrived at an agreement of like, okay, Dean is an onion with a lot of layers. How many of these layers are we going to peel back? And kind of how little I'm going to pause this. How little can we peel back and get the storytelling that we need without doing something that is disingenuous to how Dean would actually behave.
See that?
Go
I
ahead.
mean, obviously, Jensen Ackles knows the character significantly better than I do. So I'm clearly not going to disagree with him as to how he would
Yeah.
play the character, because that would just be moronic.
Arguably, Jared and Jensen know Sam and Dean Winchester better than anybody else on this planet.
Yes. We have seen many times though where like it's not constant, but I mean, obviously, like every human being has their moments.
Sure.
And even the toughest individual is going to crack on occasion. And I think
Mhm.
that even Dean has his moments.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think they did a really good job here treading that line because especially when you go immediately from that, you scared? No, of course not. Are you scared? No, absolutely not. To go immediately from dialogue where they're being cagey about their feelings into a scene where Dean is not being cagey about his feelings. It's a quick transition there. And I do think that they tread this line really well.
Yeah. And
And
then I,
and I think to your point, I think you're absolutely right that the thing that is the most important to Dean is family. And so if anything's going to make that shell crack a little bit, that's what it's going to be is family. I agree with
yeah,
you.
yeah. And I love how they ended that scene with that ending look on Dean's face. Like
Yeah.
the way, like that, just the look in his eye, that was like the perfect way to end that scene.
I agree. I agree. So while we have it paused, okay, we're going to go back to our Stupornatural game cards here. We have a boys talk at the same time, a
Which I,
quirky motel room, a Sammy, and a heartfelt bromance.
all
So
right, let's see how many of these I've
I have
got.
a boys talk at the same time, which
I'm
gives me
almost
another four in a row.
I'm almost positive I have that too, but I have to find. Do
I have a quirky motel room, and
I?
that's it. I have those two.
I know I saw one of these. Hold on. It's just taking me an extra minute because, I might have had one or two.
I'm not
Do.
I'm not gonna lie, this is starting to soak in.
Do I seriously not have any? I could have sworn I did. Oh, I had a wacky diner. That's what it was.
Oh,
Didn't we have a seriously at one point?
I don't see one in my notes up to this point.
Okay, for some reason I thought we did. Da-da.
Not to say you're wrong, but I have not caught one.
Uh, Nope, I don't think I
Ah,
am.
okay.
Oh, if I do, I'll catch it in the next time we look. Cause yeah, I
So
don't
did you
see
get
it.
none?
Oh wait, nope, I ain't get any of them.
Out of really? Oh, you got
Serious?
shafted.
Yeah, you're telling me.
Well, huh? I'm making up for you. Okay, so wow,
I mean,
that is
I
some
still.
bad luck there.
Yeah, no, I mean, I still. There are a couple other ones that I still have coming up.
Okay. Yeah, oh yeah, yeah. We still have 15 minutes left in this episode. There are plenty of opportunities here.
Yeah.
Okay, so hitting play, we are back
Hold
to
on,
our
hold on. I just got knocked out again. Jesus, Mary and Joseph.
So we are back at the warehouse. And so Meg is back at her altar. She's chanting away in Latin. The boys have climbed back up the elevator shaft. And they're attempting to be very stealthy with their arsenal that they have loaded down with. They're sneaking it. And I kind of like the way that they do this. One covers, the other moves. They set themselves up in what they perceive to be strategic positions. They're getting all set up. They're being
Yeah,
quiet. They're trading weapons back and forth. They're getting all set up, and she's known they're there the
they're the
entire time.
and,
Not
I
any
love Dean's line here. Dean's
like
line
that
cracks me
didn't
up.
go how I planned.
Yeah,
I
I
say that
love
all the time. That didn't go how I planned it. So,
that. That
so
cracks
the
me
boys
up.
are like, okay, well, gig is up, and their plan is to take Meg and do some enhanced interrogation with Meg and figure out what's going on. She's just kind of smiling like, you boys have no idea what is happening here. Like, you have really no sense. So I would call this a definitive summoning ritual because she does her chant. The devas show up. We're not going to check our cards right at this moment because now one of the boys has lost his weapon.
Yep,
Dean gets thrown up against a wall. We've got our black screen here that would have been a commercial, and we come back from that with the boys tied up.
being tied up.
So, all right. So I'm hitting pause again as the boys are both. So now we're checking our cards for a
Oh,
summoning ritual, a
that I
weapon,
have.
a weapon drop.
I don't.
Somebody gets thrown against a wall, and the boys tied up. Okay. Some
So
person,
now I have. Uh,
I have one of the boys drops his weapon.
nope. I had the summoning ritual.
I have someone gets thrown against a wall. Okay, so I have two of those four. And
N-
I have
n-
two four in a row and two three in a row. And
Holy shit.
I'm in so much trouble.
Yep. Nope. I only had one.
What did you do to piss off the supernatural cards?
I always piss them off. I rarely, literally, I need a son of a bitch. No one ever jokes about Sam's hair.
Height,
One of the
height. That's coming. I promise.
okay. Okay. Yep. I need someone jokes about Sam's height. I uh. Oh, actually, wait a minute. Someone gets knocked out. Hold on. That we just had that, right?
I didn't
No.
notice anybody getting knocked out.
No,
I
no.
thought,
Some people get knocked. So no. So no. I had
okay,
that one.
well,
Yeah. Someone got conked in the head.
the
Yeah. Yeah. This card would have been great for last episode.
yeah, this cocktail is growing on me. I'm not gonna lie.
Uh, could it be the fact that you've
Oh,
had
it's
a few?
paying. I'm sorry, say it again.
I said, could it be the fact that you've had a few sips?
Just a sip or two. Just
Yeah, I was gonna say I got.
my tongue is a little tingly. Okay, hitting play.
Okay.
Okay, so the boys are tied up, they're bleeding. Uh, Sam has got some really stupendous scratches on his face.
Yep.
Um, and Meg is kind of saying to them like, "Oh, I've got you right where I want you. Sam is like, oh, this whole thing was a setup. Like, okay, you've got us now. Now what? And she's like, oh, no, no, this trap wasn't for you. This trap was for John. That he has a weak spot where his sons are concerned. And this whole thing was just to get you. Like you're not in the trap. You're the bait.
Ugh.
And I do like that Sam is the one that figures this out. Like Dean is a smart guy, but I think Sam is a more strategic thinker than than Dean is, depending on the set of circumstances.
Yeah.
Um, so Dean immediately is like, "Oh no, Dad's too good to fall into this. Like, unlike us two dipshits, fell
But
right into your machinations. Dad is too smart to fall for this."
but you can see for a moment there in the way he plays this, it's like he has a moment of oh fuck.
Yeah. No, the
Like
boys know they're fucked. And this
yeah,
is, this is something that we're going to see throughout the series, both both with good guys and bad guys, that um people are going to reach for whatever tools they have at their disposal.
yeah,
Excuse me. And if they're, if they're not able to defend themselves physically, or in the case of like the bad guys cause harm physically, they're going to do it verbally. So Dean know, and this is exactly what we saw last episode with the Benders, where,
yep,
Dean's tied to a chair, he's hosed. So he immediately goes to, okay, what kind of verbal shots can I take? Because
yep.
I can't do anything physically. So what kind of points can I score verbally?
Yep.
So, Meg, this actor, Nikki Acox, she's so good. She's
Mm-hmm.
crawling back between the and forth between the two of them. She's taken a liking to Sam, and
Mm-hmm.
she's kind of laying it on thick here, and she's like, I liked it when you were watching me. And
I love watching like how Dean's head just
he was
cocked there,
like,
like
what do you mean you're into my little brother? It's like, get a room. Sam's got this line like, I'm a little tied up right now, yeah, so Meg is clearly enjoying having Sam tied up, and who can blame her? So Sam is kind of playing along, hoping to keep her distracted, to give Dean a chance to pull this knife out of this knife holster that he had strapped to his forearm during the scene we were talking about previously. She catches him. He's trying to get it back into the holster. She's like, no, no, no. She
no, no.
comes over. She takes the blade away from him. She goes back over to Sam. So she's clearly a Sam girl.
Yep.
And and Sam is like, yeah, my brother's not the only one with a knife. Boosh. And he headbutts her, which is fun. Um,
Yeah.
uh,
Oh,
he has cut himself loose. Dean's still tied to the post. Um, Sam runs over. He knocks over the altar. They think, just like in Faith, where they're, kind of breaking the thing that the wife had around her neck broke the hold on the Reaper. They think breaking this altar is going to break Meg's hold on the Davis, which is what we see happen. They drag
yeah,
her backwards, which is a great shot, the way she's
yeah,
dragged backwards away from the camera. She gets
yeah,
chucked out the window. They couldn't afford to have her land. So, oh God, I forgot how low the jeans were, how the low-rise jeans from the 2000s. Um, so, so she
I
and
love this. Try and find a girl that's not so crazy buckets.
not so
Not so
buckets of
fucking
crazy.
crazy. Yeah, I love that line.
Yeah,
I,
Sam. Sam likes a little monster in his girl. So Meg has been pulled out the window. She appears to be dead on the pavement. The boys are going back to their motel room. Sam still has this duffel bag, and Dean's like, "Why didn't you leave it in the car?" And he's like, "Dude, better safe than sorry." They walk into their motel room. I love this scene because this shot is just like the pilot
Yeah.
with the yellow-eyed demon standing over Sam's crib that Mary thought was John. So this is actually
Mhm.
John, which they kind of gave it away in the opening titles. You saw Jeffrey Dean Morgan's name at the bottom. So here he is. He's clearly excited to see his boys. Um, and there's a it's almost identical, to the pilot where like we don't know who this is. This could be the demon, but no, it's John.
Yeah.
Back at Scarecrow, Sam was saying, I'm sorry, back in Bugs, Sam was saying, when we find Dad, I don't even know if he's going to be happy to see me. And this is kind of heartbreaking the way that Dean and John have this very kind of heartfelt reunion. They haven't
Mhm.
seen their father since the pilot. It's been months and months. They've finally seen him face to face. Dean is overjoyed, and Sam is like hanging back. He doesn't know how this is going to go. So that's kind of a sad thing. But John like pulls him in. And this is what I alluded to earlier. They have this conversation where um John says, "This demon knows I'm not just going to exercise it, I'm going to kill it." How are you going to do that? Quite have that figured out yet. We've got a son of a bitch here, so we're going to check our cards in just a moment. But before we do that, um, it- there's this kind of nice interaction between Sam and John. And this is back to your point earlier, Lynn, where like there's he essentially says the last time we were together, we had a hell of a fight.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's all he has to say about that. And he's like, "Yeah, it's been a long time since we've seen each other." Sam says, "Too long." And that's it. Like that's all. There's no "I'm sorry." There's no "I said things I didn't mean." There's no, I said it because I was scared. There's none of that. It's all in their performances. I think both Jared and Jeffrey Dean Morgan do amazing jobs with this scene. We've got this
Oh,
tiny little tear. I'm going to pause this here before we keep moving. We've got this tiny little tear on it doesn't count for our cards
no,
because it's not one of the boys. But let's see if either one of us has a son of a bitch.
I'm almost.
I
I
don't
do.
believe that I do. You too. Good
I
for
do.
you. Good for you. I do not. It's the only one I don't have.
I was gonna
Um,
say you are beating
I,
the pants off me
I
by
got
far.
plenty. Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers, cheers. Um,
Trust me, you are beating my ass.
yeah, and not in a fun way.
I was gonna say at the end of this, I'm comparing and making sure I wasn't oblivious to life.
So, so I will play. Here comes Meg. Meg is still alive. And just like in Faith, it
And
wasn't the altar. She's got this pendant around her neck that is allowing
yeah,
her to control the Devas. So the Devas have grabbed John. They have pinned him against the little kitchenette in this funky motel room that they have. And the Devas are clawing him to pieces. There's a lot of blood, there's a lot of screaming. The boys have been tossed to either side. Dean now has some claw marks. And Sam figures out, oh, these are shadow demons. Let's light them up. And he pulls a flare out of the bag.
and I bet
Uh,
Dean is now like, okay, I shouldn't have picked on him for bringing that bag in.
yeah. Like, thank goodness
Thank God
Sam
for the
emptied the
bag.
entire trunk into the duffel bag because they needed that road flare.
Yep.
And the thing I kind of like about this is they don't know this is going to work. This is sort of like Route 666, where Sam is like, okay, mentally, like theoretically, this should work, but no. Uh,
If you
Go
think
ahead.
about it though, I mean, every new monster they come across, they've got to try something new
They
because
gotta try something. Yeah.
I mean, it's brand new. I hate to say material because that's really the wrong word, but it's they have no there's nothing to go on. They're the
I'm gonna
first
pause
ones
this.
to ever do this, so it's like, okay, what's in the arsenal bag?
Yeah.
What can we try? Like, all right, what's the new hypothesis? Let's go for it. And
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. And that's something that is really kind of characteristic of this first season or two. So, I mean, this is not Sam and Dean's first rodeo, right? They've been
no,
hunting with John literally since they were children. I know people use the word literally when they mean figuratively. I don't. Literally since they were children. They've been hunting with John. So they're not complete novices, but they don't have John with them. And so there are things that if John didn't write it down in the journal, if they weren't with him on a hunt to see it in person, there's still a certain amount of trial and error here.
yep,
To your point, and I do think it's interesting that a lot of times Sam is the one who comes up with the hypothesis. Like he's the one but Dean is really well, let's just try cutting their heads off. Let's see, like let's go for let's go like he's going to act. Sam, the wheels kind of turn and he processes things much more. Again, not to say that one of the brothers is smarter than the other because I don't think that's the case, just that
no,
they process things differently. And Sam is very much that he's the guy who's going to, as you said, form a hypothesis and let's see if it works.
yeah,
And that's
but
something go ahead.
no, but that's what makes them such a phenomenal team is that they
Yes.
both have two very different strengths. If they
Mhm.
both had the same strength, it might actually not work
Yeah,
because you
they'll be
need both of
bumped.
those you need both of the because it's two
Yes,
different wheelhouses coming together that work.
I completely agree. Yeah, well said. Well said. So while we have this paused, while they were talking, John said, son of a bitch. So let's take another look at our game cards here. I I
I
do
we
not
we
have a
already we
son of a bitch.
I was gonna say we already had that one because I already have it checked off.
I don't recall that noise, but let's see if either one of us has a son of a bitch. But okay, as long as you already have it checked off, we've got it counted. This is the first place I see a son of a bitch. I've I've had just a tiny bit, so I
Yeah, yeah.
will I will defer
I was
I
like,
will defer to you.
I still feel
And
fairly sober.
oh, lucky you.
Yeah, well,
Uh, I am not so fortunate. So we do have it paused. So they've come out of the apartment now. They've gotten away, but they know Sam says as soon as that flare bears burns out, these Davis are coming back. So they're trying to get John to come with them. And Dean is the one who says, no, no, John can't come with us. I'm hitting play. So how we saw earlier, we talked about this, how very important family is to Dean. He
yeah,
finally has what he wants. The thing he's been hoping for 15 episodes is to have his family back together. And he's the one who realizes we've got to split up. like the three of us together is it's too much of an opportunity for this demon that we're after. And Sam is like, no, no, like we finally got it. And Dean is like, this is, we've got to let this go. Sam is like, I need to be in this fight. John is saying, this fight is just starting. So for now, trust me, we need to split up. And so they have this. It's probably a little more drawn out than it should be, considering the stakes. But oh my God, look at Jensen's face as he's
Mhm.
realized, like, this is the thing they've been searching for all season, and he's got to give it up. Dean needs to give this up. Like, oh my goodness, these three actors do a great job with this scene. I love it.
Well, even Sam, I mean,
Oh
look at the
yeah,
look on him. Like, I mean, he's finally, I don't know if he's forgiven his dad, but he's fine. Like, they've made such a connection, and it's almost
yeah.
like, okay, I don't hate him anymore, and now I have to part with him again after I finally
We're
just
making some
connected.
progress here. We're
Yeah.
finally making some progress on our relationship. Yeah, no, all three actors are amazing. So John drives away in this vintage pickup truck here. The boys watch him like, oh my goodness, both of them, both Jared
Yeah.
and Jensen, their
Oh, look at the
performances are
look.
great
Look
here.
at that
The
look. They just
look,
the look. Oh my
the
God.
look.
Like they didn't even have to say anything.
No, they know, like, this is what they've wanted. This beautiful shot of the Impala backing up in front of the camera. We've
And
got
the
a
tire and the
baby.
tires scream. The
I'm
tires scream.
you know what? I lied. I'm gonna let this play out because we're really close to the end here, but we do have to check our cards for a tire squeal. And they get away in the nick of time because the second they pull away, I almost said pull out, ha ha. They the second they get away, let's go there. The second they get away, um, Meg comes around the corner, and there's that beautiful shot of her standing with the red light in her hair.
Yeah.
So at this point in the series, we don't know exactly what's going on with Meg, but this is really bizarre, right? Like
Yeah.
this chick fell out of what, like a third store factory window? So these are not 10-foot ceilings. Like
No.
she took a hell of a fall and she's walking around like nothing happened. So something is seriously going on with Meg. And they get away from her with seconds to spare. And that is where the episode ends. So before we talk about the episode, let's take one last look at our cards
I'm
and
almost
see if
positive I have baby's tire squeal.
I
Yes.
have baby's tires squeal as well.
Son of
I'm
a
gonna
bitch. I want more than that.
cheers. Cheers.
Cheers. Yes, I'm a little competitive. I know.
Mm.
Don't ask me why. I couldn't answer that one.
Excuse me.
Cheers.
So
Do we even
I have I
so
have
yeah.
4 in a row on 2
Yeah,
different
I don't.
lines.
I
I
don't.
have uh, I have 2 3 in a rows and 1 2 in a row and 1 1 in a row. So I have every combination possible but fucking 5.
So yeah, I needed a joke about Sam's hair, one of the boys to
Okay.
die.
I
I
needed
need
one of the boys to die as well. Tragically, they both stayed very much alive.
I needed someone to pull out a fake ID. I needed a body to burn, a moose or a squirrel, which I still don't understand that one because apparently I'm
Oh, we're
not
gonna
far enough
get
into.
there.
I
You're gonna
needed a
enjoy that when it comes. Go
I
ahead.
needed a seriously
I could have used
a
it seriously as well.
balls or a I'm not sure what the other word in this is. I'll be honest with you. It
Idiots?
idiots. What the hell's an
Idjits. Oh,
idjit?
wait till you see. You're gonna love Idjits. I needed a one of the boys dies as well, or someone pours a salt line.
Yeah. No, I need Americana theme plays. The
Yeah, yeah,
boys
that
the boys play rock paper scissors. So yeah, I had like a whole mess of shit that was not in this episode.
much.
So
Oh
yeah.
my goodness. This is like when you play Minefield.
Yeah.
I had so
So yeah,
much. I
I
don't
I
know
think
how I have this much and I still don't have 5 in a row.
I think we can very, very, very safely say you won
Or I lost.
by the very, very, very least amount. Cause
Well,
yeah.
I lost by the least of I got shafted twice.
How in the world we're up to what? Episode what?
16.
16? How have we not gotten a 5 in a row
How have
yet?
we not? How have we
I
not? And this is, like I said, this is, before off camera, I said earlier, this and the pilot are the two booziest episodes of season one. Somehow we have yet to have 5 in a row. If
uh,
somebody, if you're watching this, and you're playing along and you have gotten 5 in a row, send us a screenshot of your 5 in a row. Email it to us at hunterfuelpodcast@gmail.com. There's some rules here. This is important. Send us a screenshot. You got to tell us what episode it is. And if you send us your snail mail address along with your screenshot, and we can verify that you have gotten 5 in a row, we would love to send you some stickers. So, um, there you go. So, let us know if you've been more successful than we have at getting 5 in a row. I am. Things are a little spinny, but that is our episode. So, so tell me, Lynn, tell me one thing you loved and one thing you hated about this episode.
well,
I'm gonna have
I
some water. Hydration is important.
I can honestly say that unlike last week's episode, I struggle finding something I don't like.
Mm,
Um, 'Cause
agreed. This is amazing.
this episode, like, I was rewatching it last night and I was going through and like literally if you could see the number of likes in this thing I've got, and we've already talked about a bunch of them. Um, like how there's practically zero fillers in this episode.
Yeah.
Absolutely everything counts. The one thing we don't talk about very often, because it really doesn't come into play, but this episode it really does, and I loved it, is the special effects makeup that they had to use to show those claw marks
Oh,
on,
yeah.
on the face. I thought that was amazing.
Yeah,
Absolutely amazing.
I agree. Because keep in mind, this is 2006. So
Yeah,
CGI is not where it would be what we
yeah,
see today. So yeah, a lot of the makeup effects we see are practical.
yeah.
Yeah, I
I mean,
completely agree with you.
especially with the fact that, I mean, I know we've talked about it before, how, especially, we're still in, it's hard to believe it, but we're still just in season one. So they're not, so it's not a huge budget.
No,
So the chances are is that all of those scratches are hand done with
those
make.
are appliances. Yeah,
Yeah. So like those look extremely realistic.
they
So
look good.
very, very, very impressive. And I know we've talked about this so much before, but the way this episode was filmed was just the black and white and just
Yeah.
not to put too much of a pun on it, but just the shadow work and everything.
Yes.
So good.
Yeah.
So just so the
Yeah.
one
This is an amazing episode.
yeah. The and the only thing, and I'm really having to stretch what I didn't like. Like I really had to think. I'm like, I really had to come up with something. Yeah, that I was like, what can I come up with for a dislike on this one? Because there really isn't one really. Like
I
I'm having to.
struggled to come up with something I didn't like too, but go ahead. What was yours? What did you come up with after racking your brain?
I wish they had shown a little bit more how the brothers had to struggle to climb, especially with the packs on their backs also. It had to have been slightly challenging to get up
I want to
that
see those men work. I
yeah,
want to
to get
see them. I want to see them take their jackets off because it's hot.
like, to
Climb
get
up that elevator
up
shaft
there.
with muscles rippling.
It like, that had to have been a like, that there should have been a scene of at least, like, a second of, like, "Okay, how am I going to do this with this thing on my back?" And
They're big, strong men.
it's like, okay, well, here, I'm just going to very easily climb up this elevator shaft with this thing on to make this. It's not that they made it look effortless, but they really were not breathing all that heavily by the time they climbed over. They weren't sweating at
So
all. They
Lynn
were just like,
wants to see some men sweating and heavy breathing.
I wanted to make it look like it took a little bit of effort because I would have been passing out. Let's be honest. I wouldn't have made it 2 feet,
Yeah, I'd
but
have taken one look at that and go, well, I guess she's going to kill more folks.
so what did you
Sorry,
come up with?
people, I can't save you.
Yeah,
Be you.
exactly. Yeah,
Make
exactly.
peace with your maker. I'm not coming to save you.
Yeah, I ain't climbing that. Forget it.
Oh, interestingly enough, my what I loved about this episode is very similar to yours, and it's something that the companion volume, the official companion to this season focuses on is as well is what a technical achievement this episode was. And I mean, I've said this before, like neither Lynn nor I are part of the entertainment industry. Like back in
Hell
college,
no.
we did theater, we were in costuming, um, but hmm, side note, only person in my life I have ever struck in anger was backstage at a show. I will tell that story on another occasion. But Lynn and I
Oh
were in
Lord.
wardrobe in theater, and that is the sum total of our experience in the entertainment industry. But as an enthusiast, as an amateur enthusiast, somebody who I've been a fan of I've been a movie nerd my entire life. And I love seeing how movies and television, how it's made, what the behind the scenes efforts are. This episode is such a technical achievement. The production designer, Jerry Wanick, the lighting setups, he had to make sure that all of the sets had something that the shadows were going to play on. Special effects supervisor Ivan Hayden, all the blue screen work that went into this, the tracking marks. Like he said in an interview in the companion volume, and he was running around like a crazy person, putting tracking marks all over the place for the CGI. The stunt coordinator Lou Bolo and his team, all the wire work they had to do for the Devas, um, the um, the the lighting by Serge Ladouceur, to get that film noir with the puddles of light. And I mean, and you see it almost immediately as Meredith is walking down and you see that like It's almost a staccato, like the light and shadow as she's walking down that alley the first time. The prosthetic makeup, which you mentioned, Diane Whitus in costume design, that they had to do screen tests on the Devas and like what could they do with the costuming to make the Devas shadows move the way they needed them to move. And then, of course, the genius director Kim Manners and the way he had to really think about these scenes backwards, because he had to start with the shadows and extrapolate what kind of action would generate those shadows. So I mean, like it really every single person in production, from the behind the scenes people, or the beside the heens people, to the to the people in front of the camera, like everyone was really tested to their limits by this episode, and it shows, man, like this is I know your opinion about the Benders was different than mine. But an episode like this is why, for me, The Benders is a fantastic episode. Why I say, like, okay, for the bar, for a regular television show, The Benders is a fabulous episode of television. For Supernatural, it barely rates because we have episodes like this one.
Yes.
It's fantastic.
Yes.
And literally, like you, I struggled to find something I didn't like. And the only thing I could comment on was the paint by numbers Zoroastrian symbol that Dean pulls out of his ass. Need some masking tape. Yeah, sure you do.
It's like, where the fuck did you
Jensen,
come
here's the
up?
script. Here's
Yeah.
the symbol you need to paint. Make it happen. Before we wrap up, we do have a comment from one of our SPN family members, which we always love hearing from our SPN family. Jody Hines, 1054, who is a friend of the podcast. I had asked if there was anything that she wanted to see us do more of or less of, because
Yeah.
we are open to constructive feedback here. Don't be an asshole, but if it's constructive, we are absolutely open to that. And
Absolutely.
her response back was, the only thing I'd change is the frequency of uploads, LOL. Obviously, you guys have real lives, and I don't expect a new video every day. But I gotta tell you, I was so upset when I realized I was all caught up. Again, I appreciate what you guys are doing, and I'm looking forward to the next one. So, Jody, thank you so much for your support. It means the world to me and Lynn and Dave, and we're
Absolutely.
just thrilled to pieces that your biggest, like this episode, your biggest complaint is that there isn't enough of it. I will say, in addition to your very, very accurate point that uh, this is not how Lynn and Dave and I support ourselves. We do have day jobs. We have, family and friends who love us and want to see us once in a while. There are two, because we feel the same way. We would love to do this more often than we do. But there are two kind of main hurdles that stop us from doing that. And one is that we have based our podcast on alcohol consumption. Most podcasters can sit down on a Sunday afternoon and they can record two, three, four episodes in a row. But if we did the same thing,
We'd end up in
uh,
the ER.
yeah, episode two would be completely unintelligible, and episode three would be me passed out, drowning in a puddle of my own sick. The second hurdle that we face Um, getting it, like recording the episode is really the smallest tip of the it's just the tip of the iceberg. We do a lot of prep to get ready for the episode, and
Yes.
honestly, like, once we've recorded, a lot of the burden falls on Wizard Dave, and
Yes.
it's a multi-hour effort on his part to get these episodes ready to record. So those are I agree. We would love to do more episodes than we do, but realistically, for time constraints and my liver, one a week is about the most we can manage,
Yes.
except for rare occasions. Lynn, did you have anything else you wanted to add before we wrap this up?
I think you have very amply covered everything, and all that, and I definitely agree with everything that you said. That yeah, I mean, my God, if we tried to do a couple of episodes in a day, God help all of us.
Especially for
That
like
is that and with all the technical issues we have, I mean, oh my God, could you imagine how long it would take?
oh my goodness. Yeah, the last two episodes we've had some technical issues that by
Yeah,
the time you see it, because that's really honestly, we edit very little. And by we I mean Wizard Dave.
they
We edit very little. That by and large, this is what you see is what you get. Words and all, warts, warts and all. So the only time that we really edit anything out is when just it's a dumpster fire and things have gone to shit.
awry.
So the last couple episodes we've tragically had some
We
some
we
tech,
we we've had some dumpster fires and
which suck ass, man.
oh God.
So with that, I have this is all of my prepared amount of alcohol I have left.
Holy shit. I definitely have more
So,
than that, but I can't let my sister drink alone. So,
well,
cheers.
thank you, because I need this like I need another hole in my head. So, cheers.
Cheers.
Uh, with that, that is last call. Thanks for coming along with us for the ride. I'm slurring my words ever so slightly. If you like what we're doing here, please be sure to tell your friends, tell your family, stop strangers on the street. If you happen to run into an SPN family member in the wild, be sure to tell them about our podcast, like our videos, comment, subscribe. All those things help other people find us. Um, Sorry, my screen flipped around on me. There we go. We love hearing from our SPN family. Again, always feel free to send us an email at hunterfuelpodcast@gmail.com. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram, also at Hunter Fuel Podcast, all one word. In our next episode, we'll be watching season one, episode 17. If you
Teen.
can believe it, we're there. Hell House. When Sam and Dean enter the Hellhound's lair.
Oh.
Until then, be safe, everybody. Bye bye.
Bye.